Yeah.
Yeah.
And we already scared 2 people off those quick.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck it, we're out. So, another beautiful day in southern Alberta. How are things in southern British Columbia?
They're okay. Of course, we got to talk about the weather first off. Kind of cold these mornings for some strange reason.
It was cold as boobs here this morning. It was like all nice Friday, and then Friday night it just plummeted into like minus 20 something. And it's been cold last 2 days. But now it's supposed to warm back up, and then by Thursday it's supposed to be like +7 again. But
All
back
right, keep it
home,
interesting.
yeah, back home, a friend just sent me a report. They are supposed to get 30 to 40 centimeters of snow in Prince George. Maybe the Reverend Ryan can confirm or deny that when he decides to say ahoy ahoy, which I'm
Wow.
sure is coming anytime, right? So,
Yeah.
speaking of that lovable redneck, sad news for him. I want to make sure I shouldn't say it yet till he's here. Make sure he hears the sad news before I proclaim sad news. There he is. It is true. Reverend Ryan, I just read that the roller coaster is being shut down in West Edmonton Mall and is being torn right out as of Monday, I believe. I think it said. Yeah, I didn't know there was an issue. I figured it would have seen it because we watch Global News every morning. Figured it would have popped up in there for us. Albeit we watch like the Calgary news, not Edmonton, but I figured it would have popped up, giggity. But yeah, nothing.
That is sad.
So I wonder they said they're going to put something in there, and of course it'll be like it takes up a big hunk of space. So it'll be interesting to see what they actually put in there. So I mean, it's not like they pay per ride at West Edmonton Mall. You buy like yeah, I think they call it the Mind Bender. So but yeah, that's gone. But I mean, because when you go there, you can get a bracelet for the whole park. It's not like you have to buy tickets, right? So I mean, maybe they're gonna obviously put some more stuff in there and a bunch of others. So yeah, it's kind of an end of an era. I've only been on it once, but yeah, it was always cool watching it go round and round. So
yeah, I remember being on it only once, and that was back in 1999, I think.
Are you much of a roller coaster guy?
Not really. I think the only other roller coaster I went on after that was in 2002, and that was at the PNE. And that one was kind of hairy because even though I was in the seat, it almost felt like at times I was kind of sliding out of the seat. I don't know. It's an older machine, so
Yeah.
upkeep is probably trash.
Yeah, I think that. Well, and you got to think being out in the elements like that really kicks the crap out of those things, right? Kind of like you're seeing less and less water slides nowadays too, right? Because the upkeep and the heat and the being fiberglass, right? So becomes an issue. So yeah, you don't see many water parks anymore. Like it's sad. I used to love going to water slides.
Yeah,
I don't see much of them anymore.
I think there might be one or two out Abbotsford, Chilliwack Way. Isn't there a big one somewhere out there in southern Alberta?
It was Sylvan Lake, but it's gone now.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that accident was in 1985. I just read. So yeah, end of an era for sure. Speaking of end of an era, there's some good segues. So as a garbage man, I found this was very intriguing. Just it really to me speaks how as a society how humans are just wasters, and the more we look at recycling and we need to do renewable things, a lot of people still are just ignorant, and it's amazing how people don't think about money, though, be it small. I have a point where I'm going on this. They don't think about where the money goes. So I'm sure Vancouver's probably done this already, but here they've gotten rid of, there's no more plastic bags. You can't get a shopping bag anymore, correct? So, which is okay. I mean, it's okay, but now when you want like a little bag for your trash can, you're like, oh crap, I actually have to buy little garbage cans now, or little bags now. You know, I used to use co-op bags, Walmart bags, right? So This happened a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was so intriguing. So I had accidentally, when it gets cold, when it was cold and icy out, my truck slides a little bit. Like in the summer, I got it down to an art. I can get my arm out of that truck and grab bins and go, right? But when it's cold and the hydraulics are slower, my truck slides a bit. I get off just a little bit, right? So it'll fall over. So I go to pick this bit up, it falls over. I'm like, crap. So I got to stop my truck. I got to go around and pick it up. This whole bag, this whole bin, they're smaller than your regular recycling and compost bins, or brown bins, was full of Walmart reusable bags. Full. I mean, full. And I was kind of like, Now, I'm a garbage man. I don't care. I have gloves on, and I hand sanitize when I get in my truck. I started throwing the bags out, right? Like, I'm just wondering. So, I wanted to make sure before I talked about, like, when I said, like, I could usually use, because I know you hate the word literally, it was literally full from top to bottom with Walmart bags full of diapers.
Ooh.
Okay. No, that it does. Trust me, get used to it. It doesn't bother me. But what I found fascinating was the whole point of this was to make less garbage, like less stuff going into our landfills. Correct?
Yeah.
But this person is still continuing to do it. And I've seen it with, like, because here in I don't know, I'm sure you guys have the same things with like Sobeys and stuff. We have IGA instead of Sobeys. Same shit. Oh.
Yeah, you can do it this time.
Even that we have red IGA bags full of going into the garbage. So I didn't do, and I'm not doing the bro science for it, but like, how long does it take for these cotton bags to deteriorate and like compared to plastic? I mean, they both would have to take a very long time. I found it very intriguing that people are still, now they're just treating the reusable Walmart bag, and they're paying up, I want to say upwards of 30 cents for the co-op bags for a reusable bag. So you think about these people who are tossing these stuff off, that why do that? I don't get that.
That's an interesting perspective.
Well, but that's funny though too, Jag, because when it comes to poop, now don't get me wrong, I hate stepping in dog poop. I like, of course I do. Everybody does. They hate stepping in dog feces, right? But a lot of I've seen. Okay, now that's Jag's brought up. We'll talk some other time, Jag. You'll find I've dumped a whole brown bin. Again, they're smaller bins. If you've seen the big recycler, huge recycling bins, okay? Ours are smaller brown ones. I've seen them dumped, and it's full of these plastic, the bags, like Jag said, full of poop. And these are in people's yards, which I don't understand why you would take the time to make all these little bags, whether they biodegrade or not, and not just put it into one big bag. They make bigger bags that are biodegradable as well.
Yeah, they're pretty thin plastic, and they do break down easier. Yeah,
but they're still just dog poop. And I don't like their whole. I guess we come from different worlds, because I just always just put it in one big bag and then throw it out. So I just find it intriguing as a society how there are some people or some things we're doing to get rid of this stuff, right? But meanwhile, there's people who, like, they're still locked into that. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is how I've always done, and it's not going to change.
Yeah.
And the reason so I'm really on my soapbox right now. We have these small brown bins was trying to force people to use more recycling in garbage and composting than using actual garbage, right? But that's not made a difference. You should see the amount of crap. I should one day just take a picture of our garbage to show just a big pile of garbage. The amount of paper and plastics and stuff that are recyclable that are not being recycled. It is actually a very, very crazy amount. So.
Yep. Yeah, there are plenty of people out there who don't care about recycling. Oh, it doesn't make a difference. It all goes into the landfill anyway. Well, remember the 80s when absolutely everything went to the Mackenzie dump. I'm
Yep.
talking everything.
Everything. Yep.
Paper, TVs, tin cans, pieces of houses, like construction stuff.
Yep.
Everything, absolutely everything. I swear there was like a car engine or a car door there at some point in time.
Oh, I guarantee you there was. There was an old man who used to live in. Ryan might remember the guy's name. I don't. I'm sure if I asked my dad, he might remember, but he is kind of a burnout. This guy used to salvage from the dump, and he like, say if there was a bike there with one good tire on, he'd just take the rim off of it and then sell it, right?
Yeah.
But then they stopped that. Of course, no more salvaging from the dump because it is a liability thing if you get hurt at the dump.
Yes.
While you're going through crap, right? Like that's just right. So makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, so but yeah, I just as a society, it's amazing. Even now with there was a lady had a garage sale here and she was just trying to get rid of a smart TV. But it was an older one. It wasn't like it was big, like you would have needed a friend to move this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like she's not even gonna be able to give this thing away. So this thing is probably gonna end up going to the landfill. Well, not the landfill, but recycling. Like we have an electronic recycling, and it will be broken down, and they'll take the pieces out of it. But again, as a society, just like, okay, I'm done with this now. We can just go. That's just the society that we are now, which is just mind blowing.
Yeah, especially when it comes to new stuff. I want to get the new iPhone. Well, you've already got a phone. Well, I want the new one, or I want a TV with another 2 options, or I want a new car, even though I got one last year. Just to have something that's new makes no sense when the thing you've got will last you a good few years. Now, keep in mind that there is I can't remember what the term is, but it's this built-in thing that companies do where they kind of pre-program the products they sell to last a certain amount of time and then break down after that. Sometimes it's right after the warranty ends. It's got a name and I can't remember it.
Because I think Apple actually got called out for that because I think they actually got called out for slowing down their phones and stuff.
Yes.
I believe that's what happened.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me because they're a company. They want to continue making money. And if people don't buy their products every year, then they're going to have a slowdown in profit. And that's going to affect not only their bottom line, but the amount of money they can put into research and development, which could stall their company because companies have to stay extremely competitive in this day and age to stay alive.
Most definitely. And I firmly believe that Apple does it because I have an iPod Touch. I mean, it's old. It's got to be 8 years old, but it is pristine. I don't even know where it is now. It's in one of the boxes from when we moved. And I put it in. What?
Yeah, she's pished. Awesome.
All right.
Good to see you, Big Red.
And yeah, what's up, Duke His Flower? And there's nothing wrong with it. So I was trying to get it to work again. I think I was going to give it to my niece or something, and it just wouldn't load. It's never been dropped. It was like, and that's why I firmly believe. Like I think this is an OtterBox, but I've usually used life-proof cases, and every phone I've had in a life-proof case looks pristine like the day it was bought. I don't take my phone out of cases, none of that stuff. I always make sure that it stays in the case because I don't want it to get wrecked. I want to take care of my stuff. So it just stopped working. And I don't know why. So that's why I kind of think, yeah, maybe they do that. I want to be like, oh, no, they don't do that. But I think they do that.
And it just came to me. The term is planned obsolescence, which is to make something obsolete, hopefully after a certain amount of time, which is kind of underhanded, and it's not great for the planet either in the long run. But company's gonna company, so there's that.
Yep. That's like me and my truck. As much as I'd love to get a new truck, I'd like a bigger truck to haul my trailer, but I guess I don't. I have to buy a new trailer now. But even before my trailer got all messed up, Kim was like, "Why don't we just buy a smaller trailer? The truck's paid off." And I was like, "No, you're right. You're very right." So, yeah, I just thought it was an interesting observation that yeah, the stuff I've seen people throw out, it would really like you're just like, wow, you know. Yeah, we are definitely just what movie was that? Like we were just machines and just consuming, the almighty consumer, just eating and destroying. Was that like The Matrix? I think it was The Matrix. When he's talking to Keanu and he's talking about like what just I don't know if he's talking. I don't know. It was I think the first Matrix. That's why I don't know. I could be really mistaken. But just how we're a machine that just eats and feasts, and you know we're a virus. You know?
Well, Agent Smith was talking about that in the first Matrix. He was likening humans to, I think it was locusts.
No, that's what it was. Yes.
We consume and then we devour everything and then we move on. I remember back in the 80s, I can't remember which truck Dad had. It was either the big old light blue one or the smaller S10. I'm going to go with mid 80s, so the big blue one. And when we would go to that dump, I had been watching The Dukes of Hazzard at the time, so it was kind of like in the intro where he's going around the trees and stuff. It was kind of like
That's
that
awesome.
because the windy roads and going up and down in the dump area. Yeah,
and you used to be able to go the back way through the canyon. And then you could go back up by the cemetery. Remember, you could go if you kept when the old dump before they redid the road, you could go past the dump and you go around to the canyon. Well, the canyon that was old because we used to party out there too. That's where was it your grad? The party? No, your grad party with no, that was Nicole. You were not way older than Nicole Bernard, but Nicole Bernard's party was out there.
Rest in peace, Nicole.
Yes, miss. I think about her every day. And I remember actually because I think she'd went home and I stayed out there and partied. And I was walking home from the canyon with 2 beer in my hand, and Amber Dixon picked me up. Her and her cousin picked me up, and thank goodness they did because the cops had a roadblock at the top of the road going out of the canyon. I was planning on walking home. I was drunk. I'm like, yeah, blood image, woo, right? Like I'm going. But no, you know. So it's interesting that you brought up Dukes of Hazzard because I wanted to pick your brain about something. Now, again, when we talk about these issues, we don't have the answers, but I'm interested to hear for the few people in the chat, including the one drunk one that's maybe they're listening still, and yourself. So recently a wrestler passed away in a car accident. He was a young, only 38 years old. Okay. He not his fault at all. Like his 2 daughters were very badly injured as well. What?
Well, if you go on MSN and you read the story about him dying, apparently, according to the comment section, it was the vaccine that caused him to have a heart attack, which then caused the accident.
Are you serious? That's what's going on? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, no. The woman, there was a young lady who crossed the center line and hit him head on and killed him. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And, well, she was and still died. And his 2 daughters were in hospital, and one had to have, like, spinal surgery.
Ooh.
So, but anyways, so there's always been a push because they were a great tag team. Old school hillbillies. That's what they were, okay? They couldn't get on AEW television because back in 2011, Jay Briscoe, that's what this guy's ring name, made some really dumb comments about like, well, I got to protect my daughters from the trans guys. Like the whole thing that when it first started. I know. But he apologized. He helped the community. He donated his time. He donated his money. There is a openly gay wrestler named Frenny or something, who says this man was one of the nicest people he's ever met. Never, and this was an openly gay wrestler. Okay. But they wouldn't let him on TV on Warner Brothers. Apparently there was an executive from Warner Brothers who refused to let this team on there because of these tweets from 2011. Okay.
Yeah.
And now also, okay, so finally after this guy died and like basically the wrestling community was turning on Warner Brothers, they finally said, okay, his brother, like they can be shown on TV. So they had a great tribute. His tag team partner brother, like his real life brother, got to have a match on AEW Dynamite. And it was awesome. It was emotional, the whole 9 yards. Okay. So, well, just hold on. This is why I'm asking. So hold on. Now, it also came out that at one time, so these guys are from south of the Mason-Dixon line, okay? At one time, they had the Confederate flag on one of their vests or something in wrestling gear. So that apparently was another reason that they couldn't be on. So when it comes to, like you said, Dukes of Hazzard, really up until we really started thinking about it, when I was younger, I always just thought the flag was a flag. I didn't take into it didn't get behind me, maybe like it should have about or into my head about, oh, this was about slavery. It was one of those things where it was southern, it was south. It was a southern thing, right? And again, I realized I'm not trying to be inconsiderate. I realize what the flag stood for, if you will. Okay. And what it was behind. But a lot of that was just a way of life. Now, I don't know if some people look at it differently. Like, I wonder how a person from the South, sorry, I'm kind of going off because I'm thinking how a person from the South would look at it like a swastika, like a flag. Would they be like, that's racist and disgusting? But if they look at the stars and bars, it's just part of the culture. But now, when I say that, the Nazi Party was around for how many years? 13, 15, like when did Hitler come into power? I can't remember. 1935, 36.
Elected chancellor in 33, died 33. In 45. The National Socialist Party was around since the late 20s, I think.
Okay, so, and that's how long it was around for. So maybe people didn't think of it carrying the weight that the stars and bars did because it only allowed, Civil War was 3 years? Something like that?
Not sure.
Okay, but anyways, so what I'm getting at is, like, okay, this was a part of their culture. Things have changed. So that was another reason. So what I'm asking you, and well, obviously probably just Ryan now because Jagger's left and Red's probably sleeping. This show has also had guys on. Okay, so this show has had Mike Tyson on the show. A known rapist. Well, not known, but he was in prison for rape. They had a wrestler on there named Nick Gage, who was a known, if not still, crackhead who robbed a bank and spent time in prison on federal bank robbing charges. So those guys are okay to be on TV. But a guy who made a stupid tweet and apologized for it and maybe wore a questionable flag nowadays. Hey, there she is. But what I'm wondering is like, how would somebody's mind, how do you discern? How do you make a difference between, oh, well, this is acceptable, but this isn't acceptable? I wanted to pick your brain. Like, how could one look at that and be like, oh, well, there's no difference, or, oh, there's a total difference. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out is like, where. Okay, go ahead. I don't know. I don't even know how to.
There is a total difference. You got to look at, number one, the difference between this wrestler who died and Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson has been a huge name and a huge draw since late 80s, early 90s when he first started boxing. I guess there's, in his case, a little more leeway when it comes to publicity versus the wrestler who died, because he was a lot less known.
Not as big of a draw. Okay.
Yeah. So that definitely figures into it.
Okay, so what about the other wrestler? This guy's name is Nick Gage, who up until he showed up on AEW television, I didn't even know the guy existed. But he is been charged on federal bank robbery charges. Yet he's on there.
bit more difficult. Gotta refine the old palate for this one. There's an old saying that America likes a good comeback story. So I can try and roll it into that, given the little information that I have.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. It's a little information. He still claims he's a thug, throwing up gang signals, and his crew is like the 187 crew or something like that.
Isn't that part of his character?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Still
So
some
it wasn't
kayfabe.
A flag on a guy's vest from 13 years ago as part of his character?
Ooh, well, considering how society has turned on the stars and bars versus bank robbing, like bank robbing has always been looked down upon, even though when you think of bank robbing, one of the first names that should come to mind, well, people are Bonnie and Clyde. And they were not exactly reviled by everyone. They became notorious. There was a certain notoriety to them.
Most definitely.
So difference between the Confederate flag and doing drugs / robbing a bank. In this day and age, in the past 10 years alone, there's been quite the change in attitude toward those crimes. Yeah.
I guess. Okay.
Trying to gauge the societal mind and how it will react to something is almost impossible in this day and age.
Yeah, and I don't understand. And I like what Ryan said there, like this, you can make like, I'm guilty of it. I did it. Can anyone sit and say, like, I've never said anything stupid? I've never said anything that I'm like, oh, wow, I really shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, you keep your mouth shut, Big Red. Don't say it.
Yeah, they're Irish car bomb. But we've all said dumb stuff where you're just like, and you think back on it and go, man, I can't believe I said that. And if I could, I would punch myself in the face for saying that.
Yeah, and to quickly bring up some good old sage advice from a wise old man who said it to me many times, and for whatever reason it didn't kick in at that time. Think before you say something. Think before you do something. Had I taken that advice to mind when I was 13, I think my life would be quite different right now. Quite different. Your internet connection is really good right now, by the way.
Because I'm not doing anything.
You're not even touching
I'm actually just going to do a download. Actually, I'm just sitting here talking with you. I'm not touching anything. I'm running shit off my mind. I'm trying to make it a point now to look at things before we talk so I just can continue a conversation. I have my phone here, so I do kind of look to see if there's anything maybe to discuss. But I'm trying not to mess with my connection at all. So I'm downloading at 271 now with an upload of 110. So that's still not good considering what I'm paying for this bullshit, but
yeah. And before you go on, I've noticed that. What? Oh, yes, that's right. That's 50 now.
That's good.
I've noticed that no one, at least that I can remember in the past few weeks, has commented on our show from their Facebook pages. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. And I think one of the reasons might be, now I always set when this show goes live, I go to my Facebook and I set the post to public so anyone can comment. I don't know if you do that, but if you haven't, you should. This is off-air stuff.
We went through this last week.
People can learn.
I don't shoot. See, I actually caught myself there.
Yeah. Yeah. If people start up their own streams, at least they can learn a thing or two from us on the fly.
Yeah, on what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to look at my video. I'm pretty sure it's set. It automatically sets. Yeah. Hold on. It's live now. Has my thing dropped at all? Like my internet went to shit?
A few frames here and there, but it's still looking good. 75. Yeah, dropping frames, but the audio is still there.
Now, see, my bars have dropped right off.
Jesus, after opening Facebook. Good Lord.
There, it should be good now. I closed it. I'm public,
Okay.
so. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to just do my homework beforehand now. Because I noticed like when Frank, I don't know if like when Frank and those guys do their show, they aren't looking at screens. Like, and I'm sure they have more stuff going on and more of a better setup. So until we get some more people, I'm not gonna spend a bunch of money on this.
Yeah.
If that, I already bought a new computer. I'm all for trying to get, but there's right now I can't find anyone in Tabor to fix my computer. So I've just kind of moved on. Okay, I thought I heard her yelling and who knows. So so before we get into the deep subject of the day, is there anything you'd like to discuss before we turn it heavy?
Speaking of Frank, anyone who has not subscribed to Frank's channel, The Harsh Truth, please do so, because at 500 subs, he's going to do a charity stream for the Abandoned Pet Project. As Frank has said on the show, during the pandemic, many people got companion pets for company. But once the restrictions ended, many of those same people let those pets go onto the street where they were scooped up by the pound, are in danger of being euthanized if they're not rehomed. He was at, as of last week, 430 subscribers. He's probably at 433, 435 now. So anyone who wants to help out in some small way with the Abandoned Pet Project, subscribe to Frank's channel, help him get to 500.
Sorry, my buddy just made a comment. So this is a good one we could talk about. Okay. I don't know if I said it on here before, but I hate terrestrial radio. I really dislike the announcers with their "Hey, welcome to the bus." It drives me nuts. Yep. So Miley Cyrus released a new song called "Flowers." Okay, and I'm gonna pause it right away here, so I can just bring up the lyrics. Okay. Now you won't know this, okay, because you don't listen to Bruno Mars, but Bruno Mars has a song. When I Was Your Man, this was called. Okay. And apparently that was Miley Cyrus's and whatever Hemsworth she was married to, like Thor's brother. She was married to Thor's brother, like Liam, I think it was. Anyways, that was their song. Okay. And so I saw this video and they're talking about, and this girl's talking like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this. Did you guys realize this? That was Miley in his song. And she actually borrowed and sampled some of Bruno's song, because it actually says in here, because, it says like, I can buy myself flowers, because in the Bruno songs it says I should have brought you flowers, and held your hand, and then it said, I should have taken, or it says I could take myself dancing. She's like, but in the song it says, oh, I should have taken you dancing when I was your man. And it's like, wow, you're like Copernicus, like you're a genius. Like it was that hard for you to figure that out? Like anybody who would listen to those two songs would go, oh yeah, hey, she's sampling Bruno. That's a Bruno song. But she just had to make sure she explained it for all you dumpfcas out there, so that you knew what Miley was laying down.
Yeah.
Ugh. I hate, I really dislike terrestrial radio. I hate the commercials. And the worst part for music is, like, I think I've said it on here before, if I listen to music, I listen to the top 50 channel, because I hate the classic rock stations. Because I think I said it before, and I think so, because I think Ryan made the comment on here once, I don't need to hear Shook Me All Night Long again.
And again and again.
Yeah,
and
again, I don't need to hear, a wonderful song, Hotel California, again. Stairway to Heaven, again. Play some B-side stuff. Like, you have basically, what would we set now as classic rock? 20 years?
I would still go from the 1960s to the 1970s for classic rock.
Classic rock, okay. But okay,
Yes.
I'm going to give more leeway because there's still a rock station. So that there's not a lot of newer rock, and they don't play a lot of 2000s, all right? So I'm giving them, you basically have from the 60s to like early 2000s with some of the Godsmack and some of those bands, and then like some of the newer rock. And again, the same crap over and over and over. I don't need to hear, I love Green Day. I do not need to hear Basket Case again.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more of Longview,
Yep.
but we're still in the Dookie album. Anything from
Yep.
Nimrod, or I think their first two albums, Kerplunk was
Yep.
one,
And
what was the one before that? It was a
yeah,
long
the
title.
Superstar one, right? Yeah, the one with the white cover with the green stars on it.
Hold on, I'll get that.
So you can get it faster. You're probably going to get it faster.
Aha, 1039 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours.
There it is. Yeah.
That had some good songs on it.
Yeah. Or even something like, there's a great song. And for any guy that's had a girl in his life that is gone, and every once in a while she pops into your head, it's a song by them called What's Her Name? Off American Idiot. What an amazing song. That reminds me of Nicole big time.
Hmm. There was some good music in the 70s, like BTO, for example. I don't mind hearing that every once in a while. Although it's the same thing, I think.
I just can't listen to it anymore. I can't.
April Wine had a bunch of good songs.
Yeah, April Wine had some good stuff. Yeah, April Wine had some decent stuff, but I don't need to hear the same crap over and over and over. I do it on my phone. I got almost 3,000 songs on my phone. And you know how many times I skip a song because I don't want to listen to it right now? It happens all the time. Horrible for it. So
yeah, right. That's sad when the DJs just pull out the same list from the day before or the week before, and okay, I'm going to play this and I'm going to go on break. No, come on. I don't mix music anymore. Remember, I used to do mixed CDs.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore, but it was a good challenge and it was interesting to try and find one song that blended into another and then see how the music progresses from the beginning of the album to the end. It's just like a character arc. How do you get from here to here? Well, it's all these steps in between. And it was fun.
See, and I don't do that now because, of course, we don't have CDs, but like I do that when we do our set list, when we play music. It's building the songs, doing the tempo of the music, where to put the music, right? Like, because you want to build. And like you said, you need to cool down, calm down period, and you need to go back up again, right? So finish on a high. So,
yeah.
So now we know how to talk about, I don't have to talk about it, but I feel if we don't, like we're kind of late to the party. We always talk about these incidences, but a young African-American man was murdered by police.
You don't say.
Yeah, but
in America, no way.
Yeah, but this one was 5 officers.
Whoa.
And they were all African-American. I don't know. I think if Dad's here and then Ryan and Reg is listening, if you haven't seen the video, don't watch it. I watched it. I shouldn't have. Oh, I guess I have to if I'm going to commentate on the situation. But take my word for it when I say, well, I guess if you're going to talk to anyone about this, you need to watch it so you can have your, that way you don't fall into what me and Alex always say, what your source is, make sure you know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. They beat this young man to death. Punches and kicks. And someone might say, well, Nick, he was resisting arrest. Well, it started off because the difference between the one that we talked about a couple weeks ago and this one that just happened, the one a couple weeks ago, the beginning of the video, it's very calm. And the guy's trying to talk to the young man. He's, you need to calm down, you need to sit down. the minute this video starts, it's the officer's body cam, and they are screaming at this guy and like ripping him out of his car. And he's like, "What did I do?" Like he has no idea what he even did.
Probably expired driver's license.
Yeah. See, in their case, so Dad and Brian have seen it. It was murder. And Rogan said this, to have a drink, that what blows my mind here is these gentlemen, these officers, okay, well, no, not these butt heads, I caught myself, are officers. And I always figured officers should be trained in hand-to-hand combat. At least that's what I always thought. Think if there's 5 of them and you can't subdue a guy, like you can't use, like maybe they do need to be trained in some kind of martial arts, like, and have discipline. Maybe they need more of a vetting system. Well, they obviously need that for police.
Yeah.
But like there has to be, like, maybe Brody. So there's an answer. Too bad Brody's not here. What could we do differently? Have these guys trained in some form of jiu-jitsu so that if they have to subdue somebody, like put them to sleep with a rear naked. Because as soon as they're out, you're out. You go limp. You're done.
Yeah, and you can cuff him easy. And
yeah.
Not only his hands, but maybe zip tie his feet at the ankles as well, so he can't go anywhere.
I'm saying a properly trained person, not some meathead like I would be trying to put someone in a proper rear naked to put them out. Like a proper, like we see now. Maybe you saw this video years ago. There's a video of Matt Serra. He was a former UFC light heavyweight champion. Light heavyweight. And there was this guy being belligerent and vulgar in a restaurant. And Sarah ends up taking him down because it ends up being all like physical. And he's basically sitting on top of him, holding his arms. Just holding his arms. He's like, hey, are you done? Okay, calm down. And he's telling him, like, calm down. Stop fighting. Well,
that's a rumor.
Yeah, we can't deal in rumors and innuendos. We need to know.
We're not in Mackenzie anymore, Toto.
Yeah, you need to know that stuff. I haven't heard that yet, and once I'm off here, I'm probably going to go see if that's true. But we've seen guys we've watched 2 professionally trained fighters. We've seen one professional fighter keep another professional fighter down. Now, I'm not saying these guys will be professional fighters. I'm thinking making them. There's no way that we can make them at least somewhat, not prolific, but somewhat manageable in their skills, so they could put a guy down and keep him down. That's what I'm not understanding. I realize that, like their adrenaline is both pumping. Both of them, if adrenaline is pumping, like the guy, but your adrenaline is pumping as well. And I know from back in high school and stuff, when we'd wrestle around, if I just went dead weight on somebody, they weren't getting up underneath me.
Yeah.
Right? So those guys should all be in jail. It's murder. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And I know they're regretful and more sorrowful now, probably because they got caught. And they probably thought, like, they probably didn't think this was going to come back on for some reason.
Yes, for some reason is the way to put it, because they have body cams, do they not?
Yep, and that's the first video you see when they're screaming at this gentleman in his vehicle.
And even if, for whatever reason, and it's been said in the past that body cams have quote unquote malfunctioned, and we all know that means they turn their body cams off, there would be dash cam footage from the cruiser. So why they thought they would do something like this and get away with it, knowing in this day and age, everyone's on video when they're out in public, is beyond me. Why they would escalate. I mean, I'm no police officer. I've never trained to be a police officer. And we've said in the past, there needs to be more training. There needs to be more training. But shouldn't there be training in the way of de-escalating a situation instead of escalating it to the point where something violent occurs? I mean, violence and lethal force should be the absolute last resort. But for whatever reason, some of these cases, it seems to be the only resort. Now, of course, there are many cases with police encounters that we do not hear because they did not escalate to the point of death or major injury, and therefore they're not newsworthy. But this is one of those cases where people are scratching their heads saying, why? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Well, there's also, so this was just 2 hours ago that two officers, three EMTs have also been fired. Yeah. Yeah. That they didn't provide failed to conduct an adequate patient assessment upon seeing the injured Nichols a few minutes after police had stopped beating him. They beat him with fists and kicks and a baton. 5 guys. 5 guys.
Yeah, and probably internal injuries.
And as far as I'm concerned, this whole thing, this will make sure they're protected. No, you're going into GP. See you later. Yep. 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 I meant to look up fair.
I've seen video of that, and this was years ago, where people were beaten by police, and I think it was a guy in both cases that I saw, and he was calling for his mom. They were calling for their moms, and that is both scary and very sad at the same time to have to witness, even just watching a video of it.
Yep, he was calling. Well, I always think about, I know, again, it was just a movie, but Saving Private Ryan. Remember when the young man screamed, "Mom, mommy!" Like when he, Yeah, I couldn't imagine. And he was going to his mom's. Like, what could this guy have possibly done? Like, good Lord.
And of course, we're going to get the old news cycle of there has to be reform. There's going to be an internal investigation. Something's got to be done. We got to protest. And then it just goes away.
Yep.
Nothing happens until the next one. And then the cycle starts anew. It's just like voting.
Yep. It is. It is. It's just like the whole gun reform, right? Nothing changes.
Yeah. And that's a really, really difficult thing with the American Constitution, with guns. Yeah, you have an amendment. It's called Jim Jeffries. Everybody drink. But the loophole is the amendment. So I don't think there's ever going to be a Congress or a Senate who's going to say, we are going to rewrite the Second Amendment to the Constitution. They would be gone. They would be, if not, well, I don't know if you can vote them. Well, you can vote them out. I don't know much about the American justice system. Where's Casey? Where's Frank? Come on, guys. They would be lynched. They would be dragged out of their homes, I think, because you know how many Americans are. Yep. Like, it's not going to change. It is not going to change. Nope. The Second Amendment is there, and it is not going anywhere. That's why these shootings will continue to happen, period. And that's the thing. We discussed, that people ever giving up power or relinquishing power. Once a human gets power, they're not going to release power. Nobody in that position that could maybe change things are going to jeopardize their power. Yep. It's just like the Oracle in the Matrix Reloaded said, what do all men with power want? More power.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just two guys, talking I'm in my basement and you're in your apartment about this, and we don't have the answers. We've never claimed to have the answers, but it's an interesting
conundrum.
Yeah, because it's just rinse, wash, repeat.
Yeah.
Right, and nothing's going to change. And nothing's going to change until we change.
As a collective.
Yes, as a collective. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And judging from my new favorite shows, Neighborhood Wars and Customer Wars on A&E, we're not changing. It is getting worse. We are becoming as a society, it's worse. I saw it was a great video just because this, so they're in a McDonald's, it's after a party, okay, and these girls are fighting, and there's a female officer, and they're trying to break them up. There's like three African American girls and this white girl, and like basically the three African American girls are beating the piss out of them while there's an officer there. Another officer shows up. Everybody is still, no one's listening. Blah blah blah. Well, in walks this dude, kicks the door open, and he's got his taser out. And he's like, everybody on the ground now! And like he's screaming, and of course, everybody's a thug until the cop shows up with the taser, and everyone, now the girls are like, one of the girls sitting there fighting is slowly like trying to slide away. She sat down and she's trying to get out of peripheral. And the guy says, who was fighting? I want them all. And they get all pointed out. And now the girl who was just a thug 5 minutes ago is in tears now because she's getting cuffed, going to jail.
Yeah.
Right? It's that famous Mike Tyson saying I love. Everybody thinks they're a thug till they get punched in the face. And I'm not saying I'm a thug at all. I don't ever want to get punched in the face. I don't like getting punched in the face. It's not one of my things in life to get is punched in the face.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not on my goal list to do. And it never really was. I never really liked getting punched in the face. So, but yeah, we don't have the answers, and yeah, judging by these shows that I watch, just we as a society are in a lot of trouble. Like, and I know we've said it before on this show before, like, we proved it during the pandemic with toilet paper. We're all mean animals.
Selfish, very.
Yeah, and that too, selfish. Like one of those videos on this neighborhood or customer wars, a woman has a cart full of toilet paper, and a woman goes to take one. She's like, "You don't need all these," and they start throwing hooks at this person. And it was awesome because the manager just comes up and goes, "You want to know what? You're not having you're not getting any toilet paper now." And he took the toilet paper from the woman that was trying to hoard it all.
Yeah.
But it's just and I'll keep saying it on the show. I always said, "Oh, Walking Dead wouldn't happen. We'd come together as society." Nope. I always thought no, but then the toilet paper proved that if the poop ever hits the fan and we suddenly have zombies, that we're all going to turn on each other, and it is going to be The Walking Dead.
Yeah, it'll be everyone for themselves. I wonder, out of all the people who stocked up on toilet paper in April of 2020, who still got a sizable collection of toilet paper? I want to hear from those people and how it enriched their lives having all this toilet paper.
Like, did you think, I wonder if these people thought it was going to be like a reverse of Waterworld, where like toilet paper was going to be the new currency, or not Waterworld, but even Mad Max. Yeah, you need someone to drive a truck. I can drive a truck. You know, like there'd be like a reefer full of toilet paper and crazy guys with chaps on their buttholes hanging out, jumping on it and throwing metal boomerangs at each other, and a little weird kid with a glove that's like and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
That's an alternative version I have no interest in seeing.
I'd watch that. That's a great movie. No one ever talks about now. Maybe because Mel Gibson went nuts there. But Mad Max.
The first one.
The second one was okay.
Second one was pretty good.
Yeah, but Thunderdome was really weird. But the first two I really enjoyed. And even the one Tom Hardy's Mad Max, that was pretty awesome too.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit. So, yes, I like Mad Max. I haven't watched Mad Max in a long time. I probably should, because I watched Conan the Barbarian not long ago, and I still enjoyed it. So, sometimes when you go back and watch movies, you're like, oh, that really sucked. I wish I wouldn't have went back and watched it.
Sometimes it depends on the movie. Sometimes the movie is so prescient that it will survive no matter what's going on in the present.
Example, Goonies.
Oh man, the last time I watched The Goonies, it was with my girlfriend. I swear it was last year, and it brought tears to my eyes because of the memories and the feelings that it brought back.
Because we all wanted to be Goonies.
Yes, yes, we did.
We all wanted to be like, man, I wish we could go on a treasure adventure like that. Everybody, all of us did. Everyone. I am on an 80s/90s page where like they show the old toys and commercials and pictures from our youth and like the Sears catalogs, and it's like life of course was simpler when for us then because we were children. And I'm sure
Yeah.
if dad's still here listening, he's like, no, life still was busy and blah blah blah. I mean, he might even well, depend. I'd like to know what dad would say, but at the it just seemed like life was. Oh, hello, Sarah May. It's just the time seemed. Maybe it's because we didn't have the World Wide Web, and in Mackenzie, we basically were in Mackenzie. That's where we were until we went to Prince George, and that was like the big. Or we got to go on a trip to Vancouver, or we got to go to Saskatchewan, or something to go visit people. Like the world wasn't so at your fingertips. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
an adventure to go to Prince George.
Yeah.
You know, it was an adventure to go to Pine Center Mall. You know, and now just everything is just I don't know. It sucks. It sucks.
You know what else sucks? I think this is a German airline. No longer address passengers as ladies and gentlemen. How do you like them apples? Because they're trying to be more inclusive. Now, I didn't bring this in as a kind of Brodyism to, say, you know what really grinds my gears? This story. No, I did it just to piss off Nick.
It doesn't piss me off at all.
No?
I don't
Okay.
get the ladies and gentlemen. Like, why can't they go like, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, them, they, ziggle, zaggle, ziggle, zoogle, da. I don't know, like, cause like all the, and birds and cats and whatever else we're pretending to be. And that's not a shot at any transgender people. These are the people that think they're birds.
Oh, yeah.
Now we saw the video. I don't know if that's a shoot or a work, but still.
They're going to knock it down to something simple like dear guests and a simple welcome on board. That's
I'm okay with that. I'm fine
yeah.
with that's fine. That is fine.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Now this one's great. And this was from July.
Okay.
So there are actual people out there who think that a nurse is actually a crisis actor. And this is a nurse in Arkansas.
Yeah.
She gets called a crisis actor all the time. And then she replies with, for just $10 into my Venmo account, I'll tell you the truth about COVID-19 and crisis acting. She's made about $100 so far. And this was back in July. So unfortunately, because of this story, the jig is up. So I don't think she's making any more money. Crisis acting isn't real and COVID is real. So surprise.
Wow.
Yep.
We live in a fascinating world and a fascinating time.
We do. And one more story with good old Prince Andrew. And this relates to being cold. He had said, I don't know, he was walking. He stopped in his tracks and asked a woman if she had cold feet. She said, freezing. Did you know the trick is to bring a newspaper? Stand on a newspaper and you insulate your feet. Can you tell me, because I know there were some kids back in the day who used plastic bags on their shoes, but
That's newspaper dry. Like that was like you put those on inside because your liners get fucked up and your parents
yeah.
You'd put the co-op bags or bread bags in your boots because your liners got messed up, and mom and dad were sick of buying you new liners, so that's what you had to put in your liners to keep your feet dry.
Okay.
Science. So,
the more you science.
The more you science. All right, there's that wall.
Yeah. Well, and we've hit our hour mark. It's interesting that I've looked back over the shows since we started, and we've had peaks and valleys with regards to length of time, and for some reason we've settled on this hour mark, which is fine. I remember, Jesus, it was early last year where we did a show on a Saturday, and that was 2+ hours. That was the longest we had ever gone, and we've never gone that length again.
And I think we actually had a pretty good crowd interaction on that one too.
We did. I remember Casey was there for the whole time, which really surprised me. Where are you, Casey? Hope you're doing well. Frank stopped in for a while. Yeah, we had a good lot of people show up and stay as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah. But we shall return next Monday for
Yes, we will.
one person who's still watching. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan.
I was going to say my money's on Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens to everyone else. It just drops off, and things happen. Aside from a few dropped frames, your internet connection was great.
Because I opened Facebook once.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep looking on my phone for information. I'm not even, like I said,
Thanks,
if we ended up having a steadier crowd of people where I could justify maybe spending some money again, but for what we're doing right now, I'll make this work.
This is fine.
So, yeah. Good night, Bruce. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Ryan, as always.
Thanks also to Big Red, who commented 2 hours and 17 minutes before we went live.
Because I'm pissed, boys, and yeah.
And to Jagger as well, who stopped in for a minute. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And anyone else who showed up on our Facebook, didn't comment, but watched for a few minutes. Thank you for the view count. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next Monday, same time, I was about to say same bat time. No, same garbage time, same garbage channel. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.